Hi, this video will show you how you can configure explicit proxy in the latest 6.4 FortiOS. We'll cover explicit proxy configuration with some security profiles, antivirus, web filter, application control, DLP, FortiIsolator, and the last thing is transparent proxy configuration. So let's get started. If you have never done this before, to utilize explicit proxy, you would have to add that feature via Systems, Feature Visibility, Explicit Proxy, and Apply. So once that's completed, you can go to Network, Explicit Proxy, and enable it and add the appropriate interfaces that will proxy traffic, and then provide the port number to utilize. Once that's done, you can check your interface, make sure that the explicit proxy is enabled in the network, under network in the interfaces. So with that basic part of the infrastructure configuration completed, we're going to add a LDAP server to this for authentication. You can do LDAP, you can do Radius, NTLM, Kerberos, and so forth. So to add LDAP server, I've already pre-populated it, but it's pretty easy. Let's take a look at the configuration, name, IP address, so forth, and you can click on Browse to see all the parameters that is acquiring from the server itself. And to make sure that it's successful, you bind type as regular, username and password to connect, click test connectivity, and the successful message is displayed. So once the AD has been added, we can go ahead and import the groups over. So for example, I have facilities, HR, and IT, and let's take a look at one of them. So clicking on edit, you can see that I provide the name, and then to see the AD information, just click on it, and then you can scroll down and select the right group, correct group to add, and right click and make sure you do an add selected into the environment. And once that's done, you can utilize the groups in your policies. So the next thing you want to do is configure profiles. So we're just going to use the default antivirus profile for our policies when we create the proxy policy. In web filtering, I've created multiple policies for best practices, facilities, HR, and so on and so forth. But we're going to take a look at the facilities policy, which is a lot more restrictive, meaning for potentially liable, all the categories are blocked. Same for adult mature content, same for bandwidth consuming, and then the rest are just security risks are always blocked, malicious website, and so forth for all the different groups as well. So go ahead and select parts and pieces that you want to block. So you can change it to warning as well if you want to warn, but majority of the time it's either allow or block. And then similar with application control, there's these are default high risk. High risk are blocking all proxy categories and all peer-to-peer applications. However, in this one, I've created a block Facebook post under the application and filter override. We're just going to block Facebook posts. Facebook is allowed, but the posts for certain groups will not be. So once that's done, you can go to Policy and Objects, and you can see that under Firewall Policy, we don't have any. It's just a standard default implicit deny. We're creating proxy policies here, and I have 3 of them. I have Facilities, Marketing, and IT, and the security profiles. As you can see, for application, I'm blocking Facebook posts for facilities as an example, and then the rest are fairly much default, except for, web filtering is set to facilities as well. This one for marketing. Now let's take a look at the policy in detail by double clicking on it. And as you can see, for this policy for facilities, it's set up for explicit proxy, outgoing interfaces of WAN port, source is all, and then facility groups, right? Services is proxy, and the rest is pretty default configuration. But coming down here is where you select the security profile, antivirus, web filtering. You can drop down to see, what best option to use for the specific groups that you're configuring, SSL deep inspection, and that's it for this policy. Let's go to the client and show you how this is going to work out. I'm going to use the Chrome browser, and I'm going to bring up settings to show you that this is going through the proxy, or you will utilize the proxy. It's pointing to the proxy address that we were just configuring and the port. So once that's done, let's open another tab. And for example, let's go to facebook.com. And as you can see here, authentication required. We're going to log in as a person in facilities. So there you go. Facebook is up. We're authenticated. Let's log in as this person into Facebook. So right here, we're logged in as a Hood writing. And since this person is in facilities, they don't have access to Facebook posting. We're going to test this out. Hello world. So as you can see, the post isn't showing up in the thread here, but we're going to go back to our FortiGate and go into logs, forward traffic. As you can see from here, our writing Facebook post has been denied. So here's the application control, Facebook post, and action, accepted, block by web proxy, right? So that's pretty cool. You've blocked that person. The other thing is this is also blocking, certain sites like gambling, right? So you can see this is blocked by the web filter, FortiGuard Web Filter. And if you come over here, here's gambling, right? Again, it's blocked. It's saying blocked by web proxy, and the action is blocked. So let's take a look at the antivirus profile to test that out. So if we go back to the client, we'll go to icar.org. Let's try to download one of the icar test files. So as you can see, the icar file is blocked by the antivirus software. And let's go back to the FortiGate and see the logs as right here showing you that the icar test file is blocked. Another way to route client traffic to the proxy is using a proxy auto config file, which we can do here under network explicit proxy, and enabling this toggle switch here. I can show you here, as you can see, it populates these couple of parameters, and we'll edit the config file. There's just a sample file here, but you can import your own if needed. For now, I just took the sample file and edited it for basic proxy access from any client that's on 1088.210.0 network will access the proxy we're working on right now, 1088.210 132 port 8888. So once that's done, we apply, we exit out of that. We'll go to the client side. In the proxy settings, you would just enable this use setup script. This is in Chrome again, and provide the HTTP address and the port number and the proxy file that you wanted to use. So since I've already have that set up, we'll exit out of it. Right now we're at cnn.com, right? And to check if web filtering is working, we'll try gambling.com. The page is blocked. For iCar, we're going to download for antivirus. And again, that's blocked as well. So everything else will work the same. You're just going through a proxy auto config file. We'll now look at DLP configuration. So as of 6.2.2 and later, the DLP feature on the GUI has been removed and is just enabled via CLI only. So you would have to go into the CLI in 6.4 and start configuring DLP sensor. So since we're using 6.4, I wanted to show you the sensor I created here. If I go into configuration DLP sensor show, so as you can see, I added a credit card sensor and gave it a name CC, and then the protocol to watch is HTTP GET, HTTP POST, and FTP, and the action is block. The only reason you're not seeing the set filter type for credit card is because this is a default, so the default won't show up. Go into edit first. Edit credit card config filter edit 1 set filter by. So as you can see, these are the options for the filter, right? Credit card, Social Security, you can do regex, you can do file type, size, and so forth. So right now we're just going to do a credit card, but I'll type it in again and show you that even though it's accepted, it's not showing up in the configuration. You would have to do a show full configuration and search for the parameter under config filter for credit card and see that command. So right now, since I've configured it, next, and so we've configured it on the on the CLI. Let's go back to the GUI. There's not much to do in the GUI. The other thing we're going to do is set up blocking PDF and executable as well for marketing. So in marketing, in the web filter under marketing profile, come down to file filter, and we're going to enable scan for archive. So I've created the 2 files I want to block. It's pretty straightforward as well. So in here you just select the file type. So for this I'm just using PDF. So that's all I've selected. I'm blocking it. It's incoming or outgoing, either way. Same with the executable, incoming, outgoing. So you can probably combine the file type into one quick policy, but for this demonstration, I've created 2 separate ones. So we'll say OK. So everything's created. It's all fine in the filters or in the policies. Again, we still have the same policy. We have facilities, marketing, and IT. And we're going to go to the client. So right here, I've set up the client for, again, it is still set up for proxy configuration and going through our FortiGate SWG. So to show you the DLP configuration and blocking mode, where you can go to dlptest.com, sample data, and we're just going to click on these sample links that they have for Social Security and credit card number, and I'm just going to click on this Excel file to download. And as you can see, the file is blocked, so it's stated transfer attempted, contain data leak, and that's the file name, username, and then marketing group. So as you can see, it is blocked from a DLP perspective. The other thing we want to do is block a PDF, right? So right here is again sample SSN and CCN file, but it's in a PDF format, and just showing you that the attempted to download PDF file has been blocked by your administrator. That's the sample file name, web filter violation, since it is set up in the web filter category in the marketing. So again, right here is the blocking a PDF file. One more thing I wanted to show you was integrating FortiGate SWG with FortiIsolator. So to do that, you would go into Network, Explicit Proxy, and set up a proxy forwarding server. So in here it's already set up, but we'll double click on it, provide the name, provide the proxy IP address or the isolator IP address, and the default port number, which is 8888, and that's it. Once you have that completed, we'll save it, and now you will have to go apply it to the specific profiles or policies that you have. For example, our 3 policies that we have, I'm just going to apply it to one for now, which is this first one for facilities. So we'll go into Edit, go down to Firewall Network option, Web Proxy Forwarding Server, enable that toggle, and then select the isolator as the proxy forwarder server that we just created earlier, and then click OK. Since the redirection is using a non-standard port, we have to configure a firewall policy allowing all and just doing some SSL inspection. So once that's done, we'll go to our client, and I've cleared the cache. We'll open up another tab, go to CNN, and you see that we are redirected to a login for the FortiIsolator. We're just going to log in as guests right now and show you that it is redirecting to Isolator. So once the page is loaded, we'll look into the tools for the source of the page. You can see that the redirection is working, redirection to the FortiIsolator, and it's loading the page through that and removing all the malicious content as well. So we can also check out the web filtering portion of it, if it's still working or not. We can go to gambling.com, and there you go. Web filtering is still blocking. iCar virus download, that is still being blocked. We go to the download page and try to download a test file here. And there you go. With the explicit proxy configuration done with all the other features and testing on a client, I wanted to show you transparent proxy configuration as well. To start with that, you would go to the firewall policy. We would need to create a firewall policy. So right here, I've created one. Again, incoming interface is a LAN port, outgoing is a WAN port, and inspection mode is proxy base. And then also SSL inspection is deep inspection. And that's it for that policy. We'll go to proxy policy next, and I've created one already for transparent proxy. As you can see here, again, same ports, LAN and then WAN. And I've also added marketing into this one just to show you the authentication for the marketing group. Again, all web proxy, and we're going to go ahead and select the specific profiles for the marketing group, especially for web filtering. And again, we're doing a certificate inspection here, and that's it. Click on Save. In order to also apply the DLP policy, you would have to go into the CLI. So here's the transparent policy that I've created. So to add the DLP sensor policy for credit card, you would have to do it again via CLI. And you can see in this policy here that I created earlier in the GUI for transparent proxy, which is number 4, I've added the set DLP sensor to credit card. We'll go back to client that we've been using, clear the cache, and then just, for example, go to cnn.com again. And we'll get an authentication screen. I'm going to log in as prabbit. And there you go, we're in to that. If we try to go to any of the prohibited sites, we get blocked. Same thing for trying to download an iCar file. That's also blocked. For DLP sensor, trying to download this Excel file. See, you can see that the data leak policy is working. So there you go. That's pretty straightforward. There's not much in the proxy setting. You're just using the default of automatically detecting settings, and the client gateway is basically the FortiGate SWIG. This is just a quick glimpse into configuring a FortiGate SWIG for explicit proxy with all the different components: AV, web filter, application control, DLP, and isolation, and transparent proxy configuration. Thanks for watching.